Michelle Rowland, MP, serving as the Minister for Communications and the Member of Parliament for Greenway. She was elected into the Australian House of Representatives in 2010 and has been re-elected in many subsequent elections. Her political career began at the local government level, where she served as a councillor for Blacktown City Council from 2004 to 2008 and as Deputy Mayor from 2007 to 2008. Within the Australian Labor Party, Minister Rowland has held various roles, including Shadow Minister for Citizenship and Multiculturalism, Shadow Minister for Small Business, and Shadow Minister for Communications. Throughout her career, Minister Rowland has been an advocate for equality of opportunity, focusing on supporting her community through initiatives aimed at creating reliable jobs, protecting Medicare, and investing in better services and infrastructure. She has strongly advocated the social media ban for children under the age of 16, which SYA supports. Honourable Michelle Rowland has actively engaged with Sydney's Sikh community through various events and initiatives. She has attended both the inaugural and the second annual Sikh Awards for Excellence in Sydney, celebrating the achievements of Sikhs, contributing to Australia's socio-economic development. Minister Rowland has expressed appreciation for the Australian Sikh Association's community service efforts and has acknowledged their initiative of serving over 60,000 meals to Australians in need during challenging times. Her consistent engagement with the Sikh community underscores her recognition of their significant contributions to Australian society. Please join me in welcoming the Honourable Michelle Rowland.
SYA. It's such a delight to be here, and I of course begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. There are so many distinguished guests here. I will, however, acknowledge, of course, Her Excellency the Governor-General. And I think we can all agree that even though it is only 6 months and 3 days, the impactfulness of her tenure as Governor-General is well and truly well-founded. And it's such a delight to be in her presence to hear her wise words. And again, it's wonderful to see so many people here for this annual summer camp on such an auspicious occasion of its 25th anniversary. Of course, being someone who represents such a diverse community in northwest Sydney and also the Minister for Communications, I'm very proud to represent a community that is well represented by the diversity that is the Sikh community. I think it's so important to be proud of our culture, to share it with others, and I think this camp is a wonderful opportunity to embrace those Sikh values we have been speaking of and help share the universal message of oneness. Now, what I thought I might do in preparing for today, I was thinking about how this is happening during the school holidays and reflecting on my school holidays or the time I take on leave compared to that of my 2 children, who are 12 and 8. And I don't know about, maybe you don't have kids that do this, those of you who are parents, because your kids are at this fantastic summer camp. But the 2 words, I'm bored, are said far too much in my house. My lecturing goes nowhere. I tell them about how I grew up in a small 5-row house in Seven Hills, that we didn't have air conditioning, that we had 1 fan, and it used to be faced at the television set so we could all watch the cricket over summer. But of course, all this goes over their heads, and for my eldest, she spends far too much time on her device. But I have been reflecting on what my childhood was growing up in Western Sydney. For me, it involved a lot of housework. It involved a lot of reading. I would do a lot of reading. It would involve playing cricket in the street, but it certainly didn't involve what we call here in terms of the Sangat. There wasn't a lot of that going on in my youth. But when I think back on it, where I did find a real sense of belonging was when I started working at the age of 14. And I worked in a supermarket in Blacktown with people whom I had never met before, but it was a place that I worked at for 8 years, putting myself through school and university. And as I reflected some more upon this Sangat and the fact that it was happening at the beginning of the year at a time when, as Her Excellency would know, I'm sure many of you will know in the corporate and public life, you set yourself goals. You look over your grid and you decide the strategy for the year ahead. And in thinking about this, I reflected on two things in particular. The first, some of you may have been inspired by this in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of discussion about how do we obtain longevity of life? Is it through diet? Is it through spirituality? Is it the physical, or is it the mental, or is it the combination? And in the quest for self-improvement, one of the things that I've been thinking about over the last year or so is this notion, it's a Japanese notion of ikigai, and it's having a sense of purpose. So if you have a sense of purpose, compared, all other things being equal compared to other people, you're probably going to live longer. You're also probably going to live longer if you're a vegetarian. You're also probably going to live longer if you have a lot of physical activity. So in that sense, I reflect upon this camp, and the power of the Sangat does seem to have many correlations with longevity. But the second thing I was thinking about, and I did a bit of research about the origins of the Sangat, and how Guru Nanak referred to these groups and said that believing that through being part of a community would help individuals become closer to Waheguru. So really that sense of purpose and belonging. And it can be anywhere. It can be anywhere that this can happen. And it has a variety of roles in today's society. It provides community, it enables worship, it enables the teaching of children, it enables the discussion of spiritual matters, the provision of financial support, performing SYA or acts of selflessness, helping in the Langar, and learning and teaching about the history of Sikhism. So that second thing that I have learnt is not only how this can benefit oneself, but how the individual obtains benefit from the community being stronger as a whole. So I want to thank everyone here for not only having this as your theme for this camp, because it's caused me to reflect upon these values, but also upon how my year will go. It will be a challenging year. It never isn't. But if there's one thing I've discovered, and the last time I attended this camp, as you will know, it was a time when I was a backbencher. I wasn't a member of the cabinet, certainly wasn't a minister. But I have discovered one thing that seems self-evident, but I really didn't appreciate, and that is governing is hard. And that, of course, in itself should not be a reason not to do something. Again, when we think back to Sikh values, it's about the need to try it harder in the things that you do. I've had to dig deep this year. I very much appreciate the comments that have been made to me, not only today, but in the last couple of months, in support of some of the bold things that I'm trying to do in my portfolio, because I think that when we create better communities, we actually create better individuals as well. So I appreciate that opportunity to say a few words. Again, what an honour to be here on your quarter of a century in the presence of Her Excellency, the Governor-General. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.